Kenny Bullets?
Well, Kenny Bullets is an interesting case where, him and Etienne have been the two guys that are ascending, right? All these young running backs are being taken from us, like Breece Hall, like Cam Akers, like J.K. Dobbins, like Javonte Williams. But the two that have really stepped up are Kenny Bullets, a.k.a. Kenneth Walker, and Travis Etienne.
Let's just take a quick time out and reminisce of the time that nobody else in the world calls him Kenny Bullets.
Right, so we will make it popular.
Except for like us and like the 600.
Have we told the story on the show of how Kenny Bullets became how that became his nickname?
I'm certain that we have, but you should probably just tell it again because there's probably a new person listening, like one new person.
One new person.
Now. Yeah.
Yeah. So the way that this became a thing was Kenneth Walker. We were once talking about in the Discord, well ahead of draft, probably 2 months or so ahead of draft. And because I didn't even know who the Bulletproof running backs were at that point. I assumed that Hall would, of course, be Bulletproof, and you'll know how far ago this was. I was like, and clearly Spiller is Bulletproof. And then Drew was like, yes, Hall's definitely Bulletproof, and absolutely Isaiah Spiller's Bulletproof. But also Kenneth Walker's Bulletproof. And I said, what? How can this be? He's never caught a pass in his life. In fact, he plays with clubs for hands. And anyway, we had this long debate about Kenneth Walker. And essentially what it came to is I started calling him Kenny Bullets because, I thought he was the opposite of Bulletproof. And then all these smart asses in the Discord were like, that's actually not the opposite of Bulletproof. He should be Kenny Permeable. And that's a stupid nickname, but Kenny Bullets is swag. So anyway.
So I like it because it's more like Bulletproof. But anyway.
So Kenny Bullets, interestingly enough, as much as we famously argued about Kenneth Walker in the offseason, we didn't even have him ranked in a different tier, so we didn't really disagree all that much. And
did we both have him 103? I can't remember.
No, I did not. No, I had him 105, but we had him in the same tier.
That's a catastrophic failure on your part. That was a terrible ranking.
No, it was the correct ranking. He just got really lucky, and the better running back on the team broke the leg. Well, he got lucky that the better running back on this team broke their leg.
The audience is shaming you right now. The world is shaming you.
I'll take the shame.
This is awesome. Matt, could you overlay some shame on the video, please? That'd be great.
Yeah. So here's the thing with Kenneth Walker. Kenneth Walker, like the Rex Grossman-led Bears on Monday Night Football against the Cardinals, has so far been who we thought he is because he so far in 2.5 games as the lead back, 3 games now he's been over 50% snap rate, which includes the game that Penny left early and then his 2 starts. He has rushed for a ton of yards, especially a ton of yards per carry. He's been one of the most efficient backs in the NFL. He creates big plays at a very high rate. I have some quibbles. Sorry?
You're like, this is who we thought he was. I would like to point out, this is not who you thought he was.
No, I thought he's a good runner.
No, you were like, I don't know, he's only ever had 1 season. Production.
No, I don't know. I will literally pull up the quote. I said the most likely outcome is that he is a fantastic rusher. And I'm just not 100% convinced that's the only possible outcome.
Spreading the gospel, Kenny Bullets, fantastic runner.
I also think he's pretty overrated as a rusher. I think that he does a lot of damaging stuff behind the line of scrimmage, and
he does all the things that you like, all the fancy metrics that you're in love with. He's just smashing them to pieces.
I think he's big player line. Whatever. Point is, he's a very good rusher. I think that he needs to clean some things up behind the line of scrimmage, but he's a very good rusher. That being said, in this process, he has caught 2 passes now in 3 games for 9 yards on 3 targets. And so that was the other aspect of, we were like, Ken Walker, probably a great runner, probably not a great pass catcher. Agreed. On the bright side, I would say that he has essentially confirmed that he is indeed a really high-level rusher. And while he has certainly shown nothing of the fact that he's going to be a high-level pass catcher, it would certainly be more likely that from this point in time forward, he becomes a high-level pass catcher than that he loses the ability to run the football. So I will give him that much. That being said, is Kenneth Walker just who we thought he was? And if he is, as he skyrockets towards the top of the Dynasty running back rankings, would you not be very tempted to say, pivot laterally to DeAndre Swift or Christian McCaffrey or Saquon Barkley or Travis Etienne or any of the above? Or, what we always want to do, of course, is just add a little, go get Jefferson, go get Andrews, go get an elite quarterback. But where are you at right now with Kenneth Walker?
So my stance on Kenneth Walker was that he has a very low ceiling, and I'm not that interested in his low ceiling, but I don't really care because it's his rookie year. and people are going to get out over their skis if he flashes in the rushing game, and they're going to say, he'll learn to catch, or it won't matter. He's so good, it won't matter. He's Derrick Henry. And that just is probably not going to happen. So my stance was simply, we're going to buy him in the rookie draft at 103, where he should have been drafted. And then we're going to wait. And as soon as he pops and the dynasty community says, we don't care that he doesn't catch passes, we're going to flip him. And that's where we're at right now. I just checked. In super flex leagues, KTC, Keep Trade Cut, now has Kenneth Walker as a first-round startup pick, and that is absolutely certifiably insane. They should be thrown into the Arkham Asylum, and this is awful. You cannot have a player with 2 receptions in 3 games playing the running back position at RB3 in the world. I would have rather had Najee Harris last year with his monster workload than I would rather have Kenneth Walker with his elite efficiency right now. Last year, Najee Harris is obviously toast now, but last year when he was scoring quite a few points and had the giant workload and had that 19 target game, that Najee Harris, I would rather have at that time than I would rather have Kenneth Walker today. And I did not want Najee Harris. I would like that to be pointed out that I so much did not want Najee Harris last year at this time. And I want Kenneth Walker less. And I think that is...
That I'll disagree with. I like Kenneth Walker more than I like Najee Harris this time last year. I mean, Kenneth Walker is good at football. So here's my quibbles with Kenneth Walker. So I think that he's pretty similar to Javonte Williams, albeit Javonte Williams showed a lot more as a pass catcher. But I think that where he is similar to Javonte Williams is that, now here's things you're not going to care about for 5,000, but Kenneth Walker in his debut game, this is a great encapsulation of what I've seen watching Kenneth Walker both on film in college and in the NFL, is he had the 7th lowest among qualifying running backs, which is 10 attempts in a given week. 7th lowest success rate, right? So he had the 7th lowest rushes above expectation percentage. And then he had the 3rd most rush yards over expectation per attempt. So to me, he was dancing too much in the backfield, and he was causing negative plays. But he was so skilled that he was really maximizing those plays. Now, Javonte Williams is a little bit different in that Javonte Williams was also having those same issues in the backfield. He was breaking a million tackles like Kenneth Walker. Where Kenneth Walker goes beyond Javonte is that while Javonte breaks those tackles and then usually gets tackled from behind, Kenneth Walker will house it because he has so much more explosion. Najee Harris just doesn't on the same level of talent frame as Kenneth Walker. They don't play the same game of football. Najee Harris is a plotter of the highest level, and Kenneth Walker is just so much more special of a talent. I don't think that Najee Harris is locked into anything for the foreseeable future beyond the latent consent to his touches in terms of draft capital. I look at Najee Harris, the way that you look at expired milk, where it's I know that the best before date isn't accurate, right? If you drink milk one day after the best before date, it won't kill you. And then if you drink it 2 days, it won't kill you. And then each additional N+1 day, I don't necessarily expect it to kill me, but I have to acknowledge that it gets more possible each time. I don't expect at any given moment Najee Harris to just all of a sudden lose his job. But if it ever happened, I couldn't blame the coaching staff for doing it either. And my thoughts are do you ever really want to hold a running back at round 1 pick or higher value when you're man, if this coaching staff just benched this guy, I think that would probably be the right decision. I don't really I don't want to be doing that. Kenneth Walker, I don't think we're gonna ever have that conversation about. He's going to be a guy that earns his touches continuously. So I would rather have Kenneth Walker than Najee Harris by a pretty steady margin. That being said, I wouldn't rather have him than DeAndre Swift. He catches a lot of passes. I would rather have Travis Etienne. I've thought about this one a lot in the last couple of days, and I would rather have Travis Etienne. Although I think it's close.
I didn't even know that was a question. Of course, he won Travis Etienne over Ken Walker.
And I would rather trade Walker for CMC or Saquon Barkley. They're obviously older, so of course I'm not doing this on a rebuilder. If you have Kenneth Walker, you're not trading them for Saquon Barkley or CMC. But I think that's a suitable option in a competitive team that you could 100% get done right now. And I mean, the biggest thing I'd want to do is I just want to trade him. I want to see what I can add to go get Lamar or Kyler, both of whom have been struggling for a lot of this season. I still want to get in on one of those two, break fantasy rushing quarterbacks. But I will say this, it's only been 3 games. I don't want to fault I don't want to be a victim of confirmation bias, right? Like, if this kind of works both ways. Travis Etienne had a stronger pass catching profile, right? And to be clear, he's had a much better pass catching profile so far in the NFL than Kenneth Walker has also. But it hasn't been what I hoped it would be. But I kind of look at it and say, well, it'll probably get better because he had a pretty strong profile. Or with Walker, I don't want to fall victim to where I'm like, I didn't think this guy would catch passes. First 2 games as starter, he's not catching passes, and then just write off the possibility of it happening. Like, I think it's important that when we see priors in action, we say, okay, this matters, like this is relevant. But at the same time, I don't want to just exclude it from the possibility of ever changing in the future. So I do want to be a little bit cautious on Walker, but I don't think the market's being cautious. So I'm probably just selling.
Well, that's it. That's exactly it. Is the market is not reacting to him not catching passes. They're reacting to unsustainable efficiency that is just not going to continue forever because it never does. And like, honestly, last year, Jonathan Taylor was doing similar things, like an outrageous yards per carry, a whole pile of touchdowns, really long touchdown runs on repeat. I was like, he's not scoring. Like, he's not supposed to be scoring 21.7 points per game. He's supposed to be scoring 19.7 points per game. And when you're only scoring 19.7 points per game, that's still really good. Don't get me wrong. That's not bad. It's just not. Last year, there was a point in time where Jonathan Taylor was being valued at the same or more than both Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes in Superflex leagues. And I was shouting from the rooftops.
Yeah, that's insane. That's insane. You should know that was insane.
It was absolutely insane. But